This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, guys, so we are recording here. Okay, so welcome everybody to this demo on cloud performance engineering and DevOps. So my name is Roshan. Let me introduce myself. So I'll be leading you through this particular demo. So I'm coming up with a course. Isha Training Solutions is coming up with a course, and we'll talk about that course in some time. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. So I have overall 16 years of experience in IT. Predominantly started my career as a Java developer, and then I was into automation and into operations from last 7 to 8 years. I'm working as a principal SRE with one of the reputed retail giants. Okay, so I take care of production reliability of the company, right? So end to end, it has a lot of like scopes, like a lot of subdomains in that. We'll talk about that sometime later. But on my technical exposure, I am a multi cloud solution architect certified. I have been, as I mentioned, currently working as a principal SRE. From a brief, around 4 to 5 years of my experience was into performance engineering, Java performance engineering. Uh, I've done performance testing as well for last like maybe 2 years in my career, but now everything it's merged now, and it's kind of an SRE and into reliability, making sure the production is highly available, reliable, right, performing on those aspects. On the automation, I have been working with tools like cell scripting, mostly programming languages, and Python right now. And then on the tools on the automation front, DevOps tool basically. So working with Terraform, Ansible, right? So all those tools, Jenkins, very popular, right? Into container, into microservice, completely into microservices from last 6 years. Microservices, containers, Kubernetes. So that's my exposure, basically. So okay, so that's about me. So this is gonna be our agenda for this particular demo. Okay, so we'll start with a question, and then we'll talk about software development and deployment evolution, how the software was developed and deployed over the years, and then we'll talk about the course. You can ask any questions about the course. You'll understand why this course and who all it will help. Okay, feel free to ask me any question along the way. Okay, so before I get started on this part, right, I would like to know from you, what do you like aspire to be, or what are your aspirations? Why you're looking for such a course? Just your thought process. Are you, and what's your domain like? You are into performance engineering, testing, or into DevOps automation? What's your domain like? And what are you expecting from this course? And then we'll take it forward. Anybody? Feel free so that we can plan accordingly
Hi,
this
Roshan.
particular. Yeah,
Amit
hi.
there.
Hi,
Yeah,
Amit.
hi. So, my name is Amit. I'm into performance testing for the last 7 to 8 years. Okay, and I'm into finance and banking domain. I'm working for a big giant. So currently, what I'm expecting from this course, as you can see, the name itself implies that cloud performance engineering in DevOps. Okay, there are three big terms in this course: cloud, performance testing and engineering, and DevOps. Okay, so my
Right.
expectation is to have a clear idea and also practical hands-on on performance engineering first. Second is cloud. What is cloud? What kind of cloud, and how we can deploy or related everything to the cloud. And second, whatever current trending tools is using by the different companies in the DevOps that we can learn from this course, and that's why this is my expectation from this course. So I hope I have cleared my expectation.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Amit. Yes, you are like thinking in the right way. So that's how we have named the course, because we are targeting all those aspects what is mentioned in the as the name of the course, cloud performance engineering in DevOps, right? So we are targeting all of that, and soon we'll understand what all we are covering and how we are covering, how we'll go by it, whether we're going to have hands-on or just So you'll understand. So just to give you a perspective, so whatever we'll talk about the course is going to be complete hands-on and complete
All right.
from scratch. So I don't expect, like, along the course, I don't expect my audience to know a lot more things about the course, because I know we are into transition phase. People are working in monolithic applications. People have not started to work on the cloud. People have not started to work on the Docker, the microservices, containers, Kubernetes. Performance engineers are mostly not exposed on the DevOps terminology that we have, or the automation tools that we have. And performance testers are not exposed to the performance engineering. So all of those things we are targeting in the same course, and that's what the USP of the course, that we talk from very scratch and we cover every aspects of it. So soon you'll understand when we go and introduce, talk about more about the course. You would understand, Amit. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody?
Thank you, Rashid.
Sure, sure, Amit. Anybody else would like to highlight their expectations? Feel free.
Hi
And your
Roshan, my name is Venkatesh.
hi,
I
hi,
have an
Venkat.
experience of 8 years, so I worked as a performance tester, currently looking for main like performance engineer and cloud, as said by Amit. So I'm also looking for the same. So currently the market trends, they're only looking for mostly looking for cloud and Docker and Kubernetes and microservices, as well as other APM tools. So I have only experience with only one APM tool, so I'm looking for multiple things.
Perfect. 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 I understand where you're coming from and what's the market expectations. Absolutely. So you would understand about the market expectation in the first question, that in the first part of this agenda of this particular demo, the question. Soon you'll understand what is that question and what's the market expectations. So soon you'll realize about the course and how we are going to take this. Perfect. Welcome, Venkat. Anybody else?
Uh,
Karthik,
Roshan, here one
Ganesh.
query. Are we going to
Good.
from scratch itself, or else with the installation setup, like you said, like Terraform and all everything, right?
Yes.
Docker and
So
everything?
everything
Yeah.
is from scratch. Yes.
Okay.
Everything is from scratch. So that's how it's gonna be. Everything is
Okay.
hands-on.
Sure.
Everything is from scratch, Venkat. Yes. So I don't
Okay.
expect
Thank you.
anybody to know anything. Yeah, sure. Okay. Anybody else? Karthik, Ganesh, Rohit. Feel free to raise your points, guys, before we start. Okay. Sure. Sounds good. So let me start with the question. Okay. So let me ask you, all of you, the question. Are performance engineers, or let's say I would put this way, anybody working in IT, into particularly into operations domain. Operations, when I say, the complete IT is divided into two categories, two broad categories. We have development and we have operations. So if you are not a developer, you are into operations. If you are a tester, you are into operations. If you are an admin, you are into operations. If you are into completely into production support and production reliability, SRE, working as an SRE, or production troubleshooting, anything that deals with the automation and deals with the production. So you are into operations. So the complete. So let me ask you this question: so are performance engineers or anybody into operations are expected to know this? What is your take, guys? DevOps, microservices, containers, and the cloud. Feel free to put your opinion in the chat or unmute yourself. But I definitely would like to know your point of view. Do you relate with this question, or you don't have a clue?
Yes, we are all including as a because we cannot do with the one thing because we're using the DevOps. We are using a proper deployment of a microservices to the independent databases, and with the containers, we are using the efficiency of VM space, and using cloud, we are using that as a use and pay. So all this as a chain of process.
Perfect, Karthik. So you have wonderfully put this, Karthik, and you are absolutely right. So I think you absolutely agree that we all should know this, right? There's no doubt in that, right, Karthik?
Yes.
Right. How about Ganesh and Rohit? You guys were silent. Feel free to pitch in, guys. Let's have an interaction going so that you would be focused and enthusiastic about this particular demo.
Hey, hi Roshan. Actually, I joined yesterday for the study demo, so I'm
Okay,
just checking it
so it's
on
gonna be very much
performance.
similar. Yeah, it's gonna
Yes,
be
yes,
quite
that's why I'm just
similar.
keeping quiet.
Right.
Uh, yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. That's fine. So let's get started. So absolutely, okay, absolutely. These are very much important, and you'd understand the way they have placed. If you look at the software development and deployment over the years, right? So this is where we are right now. So if you look at the way we have progressed over the years on the development process or in the architectural process or in the deployment process or on the infrastructure process. So this is how we have been progressing, and that's how we have been like this is our journey. So if you look at the development process, we all started with waterfall, right? We all know, and we had limitations there, and we have progressed. We moved to agile, right? And then we have moved to DevOps. So DevOps is all about so very much agile but automation mindset. That's what the DevOps brings on the table. So in the waterfall, so all the software were developed at once, and then we started to test the application. That's how it started, right? All the software was developed and then started to test. It was not possible in the waterfall model to go back and fix any architectural flaws that we have initially done, right? So it was not that efficient way of going about the software development. So we learned from our mistakes and then we improved into agile, where we divided the software development into phases, multiple phases we divided. We call those sprints: sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. So we divided the software development into multiple streams, multiple sprints, and we did all the SDLC, uh, software development life cycle. So the planning, the designing, the building, the testing, the deployment, and then we went to the customer and checked, are we on on the right track of the development, or do you have any feedback for us, right? So that's how the agile was is, right? So we divided the software development into phases, and then we took each phase, we took the feedback from the customer, and that's how we progressed and did our continued with our development. So our end product was very much in line with the customer expectations, right? So it was not a surprise at the end. So that's how the agile was. But now, then what is the need of DevOps then? See, in the agile, there are a lot of activities which happens manually. When the code is ready, guys, let me ask you this question. When the code is ready, when the developer has developed the code, what what do you do what do you want to do with that particular code? What is the goal of that particular code? I hope everybody would agree that we would like to deploy that code to the production. That's the main objective of that particular code, right? We don't want to take a risk of directly deploying the code to the production. That's why we do all sorts of validations. We do functional testing, we do performance testing, we do security testing, we do UAT testing, and then eventually, when all the validations passes, we deploy the code to the production. But the end goal remains the same. Code is ready. We would like to deploy the code to the production. So if we can automate this process, which is delaying the deployment process, so that's what the DevOps solves the problem. So DevOps is all about solving increasing the release velocity. So DevOps is also called SDLC automation. So if I would like to, so DevOps aims to automate SDLC so that our release velocity can be improved, can be enhanced, so that as a company we can focus on some other activities, right? We are not into this deployment loop which is taking infinite time. Like, let's think about the manual approach, right? When the code is ready, that functional QA engineer would try to deploy the code, or somebody else dependency would be there, deployment engineer. They will deploy the code to the production. May not be the same code, may not be the same as what was initially developed, right? So lot of to and fro communication, and it just to and fro communication, and that disturbs the complete uh, smoothness, swiftness of the release velocity, right? Some bug comes, people are not deploying the environment properly, some environment issues, and all the manual process takes a lot of time, and they release they delay the deployment process. So DevOps solves that problem. DevOps aims in solving that very problem, right? So that's how we have been developing. So we are in the phase of DevOps now, where we would like to automate everything. So never think that you as a performance engineer are away from DevOps. No, DevOps is a culture, it's a mindset, automation mindset, where we talk about SDLC automation. So even as a performance engineer, you would be asked, or we are asked, performance engineers are being asked to write a Jmeter job, where the Jenkins job, create a Jenkins job which can automatically be invoked when the functional testing passes. Automation functional. So we can create a job in Jenkins, and there will be a job for the functional testing, there will be job for the performance testing, and automated fashion, all the jobs will be executed, no manual intervention, so that all the validations can be done, and then the code can be deployed to production if everything is good, right? So DevOps solves that very problem, automation, right? So that's the development journey. On the architectural front, back then it was all monolithic applications. We were developing all monolithic applications. I'm not sure how many of you understand the difference between monolithic or microservices. So let me help you put that my perspective here. So monolithic applications are those applications where all the business logic. So let's say an application, any application, e-library application, or let's say Flipkart, Amazon, let's any application. If all the modules, like one application can have a lot of modules, finance, inventory, like could have multiple modules. When all the modules are deployed together as a single entity, that's monolithic. When the business logic of all the modules are deployed together, that's monolithic. Monolithic is big. Monolithic, if you look at the dictionary meaning, it's a big single entity. And basically all the modules, there's a huge dependency across all the modules. You're calling the functions across anywhere and everywhere across all the modules. There's a huge dependency. uh, Monolithic are like, if the problem if could be in one of the modules, and it can bring down the complete application. That's one of the greatest threat, or the vulnerability that we have with monolithic applications. So we are trying to make it separate, we're trying to make it independent, so that one issue with one of the modules should not impact the other modules. So if you look at the all the latest applications that we have, the Uber, the Ola, right, the Swiggy, so every new application are being developed in microservices. So if I just give you one perspective, let's say we have notification, right, notification module with Swiggy, Uber, Ola application. Wherever we order your food or book a cab, you get notification that your food has been ordered or the cab has been booked. So let's say if I tell you, if notification is not working, one of the feature is not working, you would not be able to book your cab or order your food. You would not buy that statement, right? You would think, why that module has to do with this module? Absolutely. So you are thinking microservices, because that's how the independence is. So microservices talks about making your modules within the same application independent, so that one modules cannot directly impact the other module. So basically all the modules are deployed separately. For example, if you are writing a code in Java, let's say, and you're deploying jar file, let for example. So in case of monolithic application, you will have only one jar file for the big application. But in the case of microservices, you will have multiple jar files for different modules, right? And how these modules will communicate with each other through REST API. Through REST API, like how make my trip calls make a call to Go Indigo, right? Go Air India or Air Asia, so or Indigo Airlines. So Make My Trip doesn't own the database for all the airlines, right? It makes an API call. It's all about API nowadays, right? So that's how microservices interact with each other through API. So that's the journey we have on the architectural front, right? On the physical server, back then we were deploying everything on a physical server. Back then there was no concept. If you talk about 1980s around, there was no concept of virtualization. There was no concept of VM back then. So even if you're developing a tiny little application, few KBs or MBs application, you were deploying on the physical server, directly on the physical server, and you were wasting a lot of resources. A lot of resources you were wasting by deploying a few KBs or MBs application on the big physical server. So after that, virtualization came and we created VMs, virtual VMs, right? We created VMs, and then we were able to deploy multiple applications. On the same physical server, we could create multiple VMs. If you install something called virtualization on this physical server, you can create VMs, multiple VMs. And now for each VM, you can basically deploy monolithic applications. One, you can deploy one web server. In another VM, you can deploy app server. Another VM, you can install a database server. Possible. So we were able to utilize the resource better. We were able to utilize the resources better in the VMs world after we did the virtualization. So now we are in the phase of containerization. It's a big revolution. Virtualization in 90s was a revolution. Was a revolution. Trust me, it's a revolution. When people talked about virtualization, that you could deploy something called virtualization software on the physical server and you can create multiple VMs, it was a revolutionary thing because it provided an immense saving of the resources, immense proper utilization of the resources. So not a long while ago, so around 2015, so we have this technology called containerization, where in one VM itself, I can create multiple containers. I can even further utilize the resources of a VM. And in the container world, we talk about Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, I'm giving you just high level perspective, guys, so don't think that I'm going to go in detail, show you everything. We have that in the course. I'm just giving you a perspective so that you understand our journey. It's our journey, IT journey completely. So we are in the phase of containers now. We have VMs, but we are creating containers in the VM for the proper utilization of the VM resources of a VM. That's how the journey has been. On the infrastructure front, earlier, if you have a business idea, there was no other scope. You were setting up the data center. So that's how it has been. You have to set up your own data center. Setting up a data center is a very costly affair. Multiple billions of dollars goes we need to invest. But now, if you look at the way we are here, we're in the cloud. Getting servers is not a big deal. If you have a business idea, you can get few servers on the rent and you can deploy your application and you can be up and running. You don't need to require set up a data center. You don't need that much of finance, right? Support to set up your data center. You can just pay some monthly bill and you can have your application up and running. So that's the journey we are here. And that's why this becomes very indispensable, irrespective of whichever domain you are into performance testing, engineering, or into DevOps, into automation. We all have to know this four things. That's how I see things, right? And our course is designed around this. So as part of our course, uh, I'll just talk about that. Okay, any questions on this part, guys? Any questions that you could not understand or you need more details on? Feel free to. Karthi, you wanted to speak something?
Sir, one question regarding web services and microservices. We need to
Right,
deploy
right.
the same, yeah, we need to deploy the same technology. For example, .NET web services or Java web services. So into
That's the
a,
beauty. So
yeah,
that's the beauty of microservices. Since they are independent, since microservices are independent of each other, they don't call the functions directly. So you can develop one microservices in Java. You can have another microservices in developed in .NET. You can have another microservice working in developed in Python, another one in Go language, another one in Node.js. It is technological independence it gives you because you're not calling the functions, you are invoking the API calls. So that's how it has been. I hope you were looking into that, Karthik. I hope I answered the question.
yeah. One more thing is that can we deploy the different types of technologies in a same server?
Same server. I could not understand.
Mean, because if I am using the VM, right, with WebSphere or some server, I already taken some server like WebSphere or WebLogic. So I want to
Mhm.
deploy there with the different APIs with the different technologies. Is it possible to hold that one, or we need to use
See,
the
it depends on technology. That depends. That remains the same. See, now you're asking a different question. That
yeah?
whether whether WebSphere supports Python package or not, that's a separate part. Whether WebLogic supports Go language or not, that's a separate part, right? So that depend. You need to check the compatibility there. But
Okay,
what we are talking about that in one VM you can create multiple containers. Each container can be developed, like when you say containers, so you will be deploying microservices on the containers. When it comes to microservices, you can use different technology to develop the microservices, but the compatibility part, where can be deployed, that has to be checked on the technology front, right?
okay, okay. That means in different container we can maintain the different type of servers and we can deploy them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Okay. Here
containers,
one. Okay.
different containers can be deployed separately. That's how it has been. Yes.
Yeah. So the container will be the integral part of our virtual machine. So that's why we are using that one. We can invoke the APIs from one container to another container, right?
Correct. See,
Yeah.
if you are deploying microservices one M1 on C1 or M2 on C2, right? Microservices one you're deploying on C1, microservices two you're deploying on C2. So absolutely, they can call each other through API calls because that's how the microservices are designed. You can develop M1 in other language, M2 in other language. Deployed separately. M1 can be deployed in a different way. M2 can be deployed in a separate way, but they can call each other through API calls.
Okay. Through REST API, right?
Correct.
Okay. We already have this Docker and everything, right? So what it
Mhm.
will do in container inside the Docker and
Again, okay, you were asking go in detail, so we'll talk about it in the course. Okay.
okay.
So we'll talk about that. Too much detail. You like what is Docker. So first of all, you need to understand how do we create containers, how do we deploy, what is Kubernetes. For you to understand this, you need a deep dive on these things. Then only you can understand, Karthik. So
Sure.
we have the course. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce about the course, and you will understand that our course is designed based on these technologies only.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Okay, I do see Ganesh has been dropping. So Ganesh, you have issues or you are fine? Any issues, Ganesh? Hello, am I audible?
You are
Yes, yes,
audible,
we can
sir.
hear you.
Okay, okay. No, Ganesh, I'm seeing
Hi.
again going in and out.
Actually, I'm facing some kind of network issues. That is the reason.
Okay, okay. Any question? Feel free
Yeah,
to
yeah.
ask
Sorry
Ganesh.
for
Okay,
that.
okay,
Sure, sure.
okay. So let me introduce the course, guys. Okay, so the course that we have, and you understand that that we have designed this course based on these technologies. So on the cloud front, okay, so let me talk about the course, guys, that we have in this course. Okay, so what we have done earlier, we used to have this course, and now we have merged this course with SRE because it was very much in line. So either you take this course or SRE course, it doesn't matter. Okay, both the contents would be same. Okay, so SRE part, because if you look at the holistically, both would serve the same purpose, and the content is almost same. So I'll talk about this particular cloud P or SRE. So you can consider both the courses, cloud P and SRE courses are same. Okay, that's how we were taking up separately sometime back, but now we have merged it. Okay, so we have some topics were there we are not covering in the cloud P, like Terraform and Ansible. Now we are covering everything in both the courses, so the course content remains the same. Okay, so let's focus on the course content, guys. So on the cloud front, okay, on the cloud part, we are talking about AWS. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open a notepad and I'm going to write these things for your easy understanding how we are going about this particular course. So on the cloud part, we have AWS. So as the first thing that we have, we're talking about cloud and we're taking AWS. Why AWS? Because AWS is the most 2007. Earlier, all the other cloud service providers like Azure and GCP have started quite late, 5 years after AWS, and AWS has the largest market share, 40%. So it's most likely that you would end up with the questions on AWS. And everybody knows in IT, if you know one, you can learn others, right? I started with AWS, but right now if you ask me which one you like, so I sometime I like AWS for few services, sometime I like GCP, sometime I like Azure. So it for me it's mixed up because I know which is where what is convenience and how they have designed. So but to a start with, we'll talk about AWS, but it's not like we will not talk about Azure or GCP. We have console, we'll talk about that along the way. Okay, but as part of the course we have put AWS here, and it's completely from scratch, guys. We'll be covering around 20 to 25 services, 30 services, I would say. 25 to 30 services. It is like a good enough for solution architect certified exam, something like that. Okay, so we will be talking about that. So solution architect associate, it will take you to that level on the cloud part. And for each details you can just go over this particular thing, what all we are covering. So basics, everything's from scratch. Okay, so that's the USP of the course. Somebody wants to know, right, what is the USP of the course, why I should enroll. So because everything is done from scratch, I don't assume that my audience knows anything. I only assume that we are in the phase of transition. We are trying to transition from one phase to another. The way IT has been developed, and the performance testers and engineers are struggling with, because you don't want to just keep on running the performance test. How long, right? We need to think big. We need to come to production. We call it party. We need to come to the party, right? In non-production, not much fun. Trust me. The fun is in the production where the real issues comes. So that's where we will try to talk more on the production point of view. Okay, so on the cloud part, AWS, it's sorted, and all the topics you can just have a look here, all the topics that we'll be talking about here. So it could be VPC, EC2, RDS, EBS, EFS. So I don't want to just bore you with just taking the name. You may not know most of the things, so I'll leave it like that, that we are going to cover in detail about the cloud. Second topic that we have, I have noticed that people are good at Windows, if I ask, but not with Linux. That's what I have been observing from many years. People are not comfortable with Linux, how they are comfortable with Windows. So it's all about the lack of awareness, or they have not got a proper guidance. So our next topic is on the Linux. I would like you to consider Linux same as Windows. Both are operating system. Should not be scared or should not be like Linux should be cakewalk. Okay, how do you work in Linux? Linux and Linux operating system. That's the next topic we have in this course. So my tagline is simple. Okay, if you look at my tagline, get as comfortable with Linux as you are with Windows. So that's how. So if you do a particular task, let's say you zip a file, zip a group, you zip 10 files, and you create zip file. Can you do the same stuff in Linux? Right? It should be simple. It's all about command, knowing the command, what to do. If you can search for a text in a file, can you do the same thing in a Linux operating system? Can you replace a text in 100 files? We can do that in Windows. Can we do that in Linux? Right? So those kind of activities. So we'll talk about Linux. That's the second topic. Right? Third, microservices, as I have been pointing out. Microservices, we need to understand what is monolithic, what is microservices, understanding of the architectural first, on the architecture front, because that's how the development is happening. Architectural front, right? That's how. So if you look at the microservices, that's how we are working on. So after microservices, where should we deploy? So we need to understand containers, right? Because we deploy microservices on the containers. So we need to understand how do we create containers using container engine like Docker, or how do we orchestrate containers using tools like Kubernetes. So we'll be talking about that in this course. Completely full detailed, hands-on, scratch in detailed. That's how it will be. Okay, everything. So you can just go on the topics. So on the architectural front here, on the Docker front here, it's good. If you don't understand, that's fine. That's why you are looking for a guidance here, right? And that's how we are gonna grow together, right? And that's why this course, because I understand the problem, because I have been into your shoes. So that's why this course, so that you to make your career fast, your just fast forward your career, just 2 to 3 years, so that you don't feel like okay, you are in a different world. It should be a smooth transition, right? So that's where this particular topics along talking about, and everything for every aspects we'll talk about performance, we'll talk about hardware optimization, core optimization, because that's the most important part. Not just the performance, with least resources, achieve the performance with the least resources, with the cost in mind. That's how you will be valued. Anybody can throw servers to improve the performance, but is it really worth? Is it really required? Is the bottleneck is in on the servers? How do you know that, right? So that's about the microservices. So we covered cloud part, we covered the microservices Docker containers part. If you look at next, so we have covered three aspects as part of the as per my question, we have covered three aspects already. The fourth aspect is on the DevOps. We need to understand what is DevOps, different DevOps tools that we have. First of all, do we really understand DevOps? I gave you a perspective that DevOps talks about the SDLC automation. Absolutely. But how do we do that automation? So we need to talk about tools which can automate that, right? So we need to talk about Jenkins, CI tool. We need to talk about Terraform. We need to talk about Ansible. Without knowing these tools, we would not know Git. Without knowing these tools, we would not know how do we automate the SDLs, right? We'll talk about how performance engineering fits into DevOps. That's very important. What is the different roles and responsibility? How performance engineering fits in DevOps. Talk about that. So in the course, so everything is documented here. You just need to explore that. Come to this talk. I'll share this link with all of you. So what is shift left approach, shift right approach? What is Jenkins? How do we install Jenkins? How do we create pipelines? talk about all those things here. We'll talk about after this. So this not all, okay? It's all about the four aspects, but it's not all. This course is content, uh, full of content. I'll not talk about that mostly. So now after this, we'll talk about SRE. What is SRE? Even if you are a cloud performance engineering guys, we need to know. Okay, so let's say on the cloud P perspective, I'll come to the SRE part later. We have for you performance, so you can say where is the performance engineering here, guys? So we have performance engineering here. How do we troubleshoot performance bottlenecks? Taking heap dump, thread dump. So let me put this. So we have Java performance engineering. So what we'll be sharing here, we'll be sharing it with my own recorded sessions. I'll be sharing the recorded sessions and in the beginning itself, and you would be going over. So most of the sessions are going to be live sessions. So I'll just put that, okay. So I'll start with the cloud. We'll start with the cloud first, and you would be given access to the Linux recorded session. It's going to be very simple recorded sessions. It's my own recorded sessions. I'll share how it's going to be look like recorded sessions. uh, and it's going to be wherever I'm not highlighting, that's going to be a live that we'll be taking up. Everything is live here. Then we'll be giving you a recorded session on this, because I'm assuming that some of you are for performance testers background, engineers background. You just need to understand more on those lines. Meanwhile, I'll be focusing on other aspects, and you'll be focus on here. And you can ask me any questions. They are my own recorded sessions. I have recorded it, and it's going to be same. So one of the courses earlier I have to take. So because if I put everything live session, right, our course would go for 4 months. So just to streamline that, make that our course completes in 2 months, we have come up with this. So for simple topics like this topic or this topic, right, we are going to provide the recorded sections. Other things, other will be taking the live. So recorded for this. Okay. Let me show you how the recording would be and how those things would be. Let me show you. I'm gonna give you a perspective, guys, how the recording would be shared. And okay, so just 1 second.
Hello, Roshan sir. I'm
Yes,
audible.
go ahead. Yes,
So
you're
I can
audible.
see
Go
the
ahead.
yeah. So sir, I can see the observability
I'm coming
troubleshooting
there.
performance.
Yes, I'm coming
Are
there.
these included in this course?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So you will be provided recording for every session. And on the recorded session, let's say for Java performance engineering, so you will be given access to these kind of recordings where we talk about JVM architecture. What is performance engineering? JVM architecture. What is, how do we take heap dump? How do we take thread dump? How do we analyze heap dump, thread dump, GC log, right? What is the importance? How do we infer where is the issue? So it's all about that. It's gonna be 10 hours of immense, 10 to 11 hours. You can see this 1 hour 26 minutes to 11 hours of immense importance content here that will be saying. And I have recorded this as in the earlier courses. I'm just collating this in this master course. Okay, so that's how it's going to be. Okay, and on the other aspects, let's say on the Linux part, right, Linux part would be shared like this. So we have 3 to 4 hours of Linux, 3 hours of Linux. So that's the Linux content, and this is going to be Java PE content. And after that, right? So on the daily basis, uh, we will be sharing this kind of recording. Let me show you. So the live session, which will happen on the weekend, right? Regular weekend. So you will be sharing. You will be having access. Like, so I'm showing you the November batch, right? So you will be given access to like this. So this is going to be this was the weekdays batch, so I have taken 1 hour, but our hours is going to be 1.5 hours to 2 hours batch, 2 hours batch. So it's going to be longer, but that's the live sessions. We'll be taking it up and look at all the topics. You can read through it. That's the live sessions. So live sessions and along with the recorded sessions. That's the plan. Or that's how the course has been designed. Okay, so that's on the Java performance engineering. So that was the course content, and then on the we have observability as well. Okay, observability where we talk about performance monitoring tools like ELK. We'll talk about Prometheus Grafana, and it's not just that simple. Okay, we are talking about Helm chart installation. We're talking about Docker installation, right? So Prometheus Grafana. So it's going to be a very up to date, that latest trend of the way we install and monitor things. So we have this observability. Look at this observability. We talk about so many things. In the observability, we talked about Linux monitoring. How do we monitor something on the Linux part? We talk about AWS CloudWatch because we talk about AWS. So we need to understand the tools that AWS provides us for the monitoring part. Right? So these four aspects will be covering on the observability. Ninth would be SRE concepts. We need to know what is SRE. So I have clubbed it. So earlier we were just providing this as part of Cloud P, but now I have clubbed everything. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about SRE as well. uh, what is SRE? What do we mean? What is the roles and responsibility of SRE? What do we mean by disaster recovery? What do we mean by uh, high availability? What is fault tolerance? What is reliability? What is SLO? What is SLIs? What is SLA? Incident management. So in the production, we need to be aware of such things. We'll talk about that. We have a topic on the SRE and the AWS. How do we achieve reliability with in AWS? Gaining resilience. So we call it gaining resilience and reliability on AWS. So that's the topic I'm talking about here, right? So and then we have at the end the automation part. So Terraform and Ansible, Terraform, Ansible, Linux. So, so obviously we'll talk about Jenkins here itself. We'll talk about how do we do what all different activities we can perform using shell scripting and Python scripting. So a lot of useful content. That's all you require. We'll talk about that into the automation part, right? And then, guys, we will be sharing two more recorded sessions. Like if anybody interested, since it's going to be a Java performance engineering course, so we are providing Java programming recorded sessions and the Python. This is not going to be mine programming language. It's from the other instructor at the ISA. That's another instructor. That's not from me. I'll be talking about other. I'll talk about the automation part, but full-fledged programming sessions are not by me. So by ISA trainer, I have collaborated with ISA, and that's how they have agreed because I know it's important, and we cannot take up everything, right? So other ISA trainer, it by recorded session. So recorded session again, self-paced. I should say self-paced. It's self-paced by other ISA training trainer. Self-paced again, the same thing here. That's about the course, guys. That's about the course. It's self-paced. Not it's gonna be my me. Okay. That's about the course, guys. That's the course we are looking for. I have just given a gist, guys. Let me share you the link. You can take both the links. So I've combined, as I told you. We have combined this course. So I consider this as one and the same course. You can take, you can just go over both the links, but we're going to cover everything that we have mentioned in the both the courses. I've shared the link. I hope you have got the link, everybody. And that's what we'll talk about the course. Anybody else? Anybody has any question? Feel free to ask. It's a full on course, guys. If you ask me, if I would have got this course 6 years back, so I would have really saved 2 hours of my career exploring these things, because I'll be getting everything in one shot, in one place, in the convenience, with the easiest in the scratch, from the scratch, right? I have always wanted something from scratch whenever I start a topic, and that's how I understand the problem, right? Because if something is new, we would like to know from scratch, and that's where the real challenge is. We don't get the materials or the guidance from scratch, and that's where this particular course, because I know the problem, where to fit in, and that's why this course, and I've collaborated with Isa to give you a complete package of SRE and Cloud PE. Okay, one more thing, guys. So I'll be sharing a lot of PPTs and the material, okay, with you. If you look at any of my last batches, okay, I'll be sharing a lot of materials with you. So like PPTs full of content, easy to refer. Okay, a lot of, so on the cloud P, if you look at cloud part, we have 150 plus PPTs full on, right? So we'll be sharing that. Same thing for Linux, Kubernetes, same thing, right? This is going to be for the Kubernetes. Again, it's going to be like hundred plus slides. So it's going to be immense, full on. I would say, right? Uh, it's going to be 100 plus slides. Yes. So we're going to be sharing that on the performance engineering. Somebody was talking about, right? So if you look at the content that we are providing, see, along the recorded session and the PPTs, I'll be providing you a lot of other documents that I have shortlisted over the years, uh, which is going to talk about a lot of useful things on the heap Java performance, guys. If you look at how do we talk about Java performance, it's going to be very useful insights on the. I have just shortlisted everything here. Troubleshooting guide. How do we go by troubleshooting guide? If you look at this guide, you would know how to troubleshoot the problem, the JFR, using JFR and mission control. Very useful. Garbage. What is garbage collection? So anyway, I have talking about in the recorded session, but just a handout for you to know. So a lot of useful materials on the Java P particularly. So Java heap performance. So specifically for heap performance, how to deal with that problem, how to deal with perm genes, out of memory issues, what are different kinds of memory issues that we have. So a lot of useful. I have talked about these things in the recorded sessions a lot more. So that's on the performance engineering part. But along that way, we are talking about cloud, we're talking about microservices, we're talking about Docker, Kubernetes, DevOps, automation tools, right? So a lot more things we're talking about. I could not think of, and also I'll be incorporating security aspects as well. Not now. I'm just giving you a perspective. I'll be also use. We have security services in cloud. We are using IAM. We are using security group. We have NACL, but I'm going to add something more on the security, because I have seen in the as in the SRE, this is being asked. How do we secure our application? So I'll be adding in future as well. So that's work in progress. So yeah, that's the plan. But for
Roshan
now,
sir,
let's
you
run.
recorded this session.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Amit.
you
You have
recorded
some.
this session.
Correct. This the session is being recorded. Yes.
So, am I able to access this recorded videos in future?
Yes, absolutely right. See, I just showed you for that, right? So this is the November batch. Everybody who enrolled in November batch has all the recorded sessions access to this. I can
Okay, so
play
you
right
will be
now.
uploaded this to YouTube, huh?
Yes, my team would be uploading. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So yeah,
Apologize, Roshan. I joined a bit late, just trying to catch up things here. So, when you say that you are providing the recorded videos, it is something which is getting uploaded to the YouTube, and that is available only for the people who have enrolled for this program.
absolutely right. So
Okay, that's one thing.
it's not in the public domain. These recorded
Indeed.
session, if I even if I give you the link, you would not be able to
hmm
see this
Okay. And the
because the
second
access has to
thing,
be given.
yeah, I understood that. And the second thing, what I'm trying to understand here is, yes, you are giving the PPT, you are giving the kind of a material that can individual can go through. However, is there any kind of a practical sessions or a demo that you personally do in terms of building the case cluster, or it could be any kind of uh,
Absolutely,
uh,
absolutely right.
mhm.
So that's all about the course. If you look at the course content, I think you missed the entire part. So
Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah, yeah.
topic
That's
that we
sorry,
have listed here, it's gonna be hands-on.
hands on.
Every
Okay,
topic,
okay,
it's gonna be hands-on on the cloud part, Linux part, microservices, containers, Docker, Kubernetes, DevOps, Jenkins, Terraform, Ansible, right? All these things. It's gonna be
and
hands-on.
this will go for how many days,
It's like
Roshan?
40 hours. 40 hours,
40
and it's
hours.
gonna be
Mm-hmm.
planned for 2 months. Over the weekends, 2 hours on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So 4 hours a week, and it's gonna be around 2 months. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
It's quite an
Thanks.
exhaustive course. This course, and you need time to practice as well, and that's what I would be expecting from all my learners, all my
Individuals.
people who are getting enrolled. So that's my expectations, because whatever we do, we need to practice, and that's how you'll be able to make most of the out of the session.
And you will
And
be mainly concentrating on the AWS, right? Here,
I'll be
Roshan?
focusing on all of those things. Yes, on the
Okay,
cloud
okay,
part, AWS. But I'll be
okay.
talking about a lot of things here. Everything is I'll be covering.
Yeah, thanks.
I think you missed the complete part. Uh,
Yeah,
Everything.
indeed.
It's not about just the AWS. We talk about
Mhm.
Linux. We talked about containers, Docker, Kubernetes. So everything, from performance engineering. So whatever you're seeing, it's been taken care
Okay.
in this course. I would highly recommend you to go over the recorded session to understand the exact course. I think
Will do,
you
Roshan.
right
I
because
joined it, but I had some technical issues, so I had to drop off, and
okay,
I just rejoined back.
okay, sure, no problem. So see, feel free to join the demo session planned. So this was a demo session, okay. So about the course, but we have the actual class starting next weekend, right? So look at everybody is expected to join this, right? So it's going to be 7:30 to 9:30. Plan it accordingly. For the first session, we can make till 9 o'clock, but our most is going to be 2 hours. We can plan for day one for 1 hour, but for day two for 1 hour, because everybody would be invited. After day three, from day three, it's going to be a closed group. So feel free to attend next weekend sessions, and then post that it's going to be a closed group with the enrolled people only. So, and then
Okay.
going to be
And
full-fledged 2 hours.
for the practice, is there any kind of a VM instance that you will be providing to us?
Yes,
Spin up an instances. All
yes.
right.
So everything is through cloud. So if you know
Okay, got
cloud,
it. Mhm.
that will be taken care. So you yourself will be creating VM. I'll be guiding you without paying a single penny. You yourself, every participants who are in getting enrolled, will be creating own VM, will be deploying their own servers, will be practicing. Everything is hands-on. You will be doing everything on your own.
And you will have a limited a period of time to use this that container, or is it like
No,
it's
it's it's
performance?
gonna be lifetime. Don't It's gonna be
A
1 year.
lifetime. Okay.
See, AWS provides that free tier account. Okay, it's not something
Okay, so
uh,
you're running with the
something to be
tier accounts.
something
Okay.
to something
Hmm.
to be. It's not like I'm gonna provide. AWS provide free tier. I'm gonna guide you how to get it.
Okay, okay. So it's not a powerful VM that is required for Kubernetes or for Docker or any
You
kind of
can get
appliance.
powerful VM
Hmm.
if you want powerful VM. You need to pay for that. But
Yeah, yeah,
we'll
indeed.
be provisioning one vCPU, 1 GB RAM. That's good enough for the practice.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks.
So one vCPU and 1 GB RAM. But if you need more, 4, 8, you can get it, but you'll have to pay for that. But at free tier, we have this much. We can get it. So everything is
And
hands-on.
the
Okay, so
yeah, the lab that we are covering will be done with this 1 gig and vCPUs, right? That should be sufficient
with
for
the last
us.
part,
The lab that
yes.
you are going to give it to us and the practice session that you're going to give it to us should be okay for us to survive with this one CPU and 1 GB RAM.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
okay,
I'll be demonstrating everything in this.
okay,
See,
okay.
until you don't put a load test, we are good.
Mm-hmm.
Resources are required when you want to scale up the servers with so much of traffic. We're gonna understand the concept. For that, we are good enough.
Okay.
Hi, Roshan. This
Yeah,
is
hi,
Rohit.
Rohit. Yeah,
Hi.
Rohit, go ahead.
So as I said yesterday, I joined the other class SRE. So I was in between these two options. So as you said, if we join either, I mean, the SRE would be much more helpful to get the performance engineering skills as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, both are same courses, Rohit.
Okay.
So I'll
Yeah,
put
yeah, I
you this.
found it's the
Both are
same
same
thing.
courses.
That's okay. 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 That's the reason. Like, I'm still a performance tester, looking forward to upskill, but I was confused
See,
between SRE
everything
and PE.
we have got you covered, Rohit. Performance
Yeah. Yeah.
testers
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to learn performance engineering, we have got you covered. Want to learn
Yeah.
cloud,
Yeah.
we have got you covered. Want to learn
Mhm.
DevOps, Docker, Kubernetes, we have got you covered. Want to learn DevOps, we
Yeah.
have got you covered. Every aspect we have got you covered in this course.
So
It's going to be a complete SRE course.
okay, sure. So is that the price difference will be there? Because
Nothing.
I
No,
can see it's.
both are priced at the same. Yeah, both the price are same.
I think there is a 2000 difference. So this
No, no,
just
I think
confirming with
they
you.
have not updated it. Okay, so I was not talking about. I have see I have added few topics. Okay, but if you look at the difference, you would not want to go in that difference. You would want to go with
Yeah,
this
I saw them.
full
Yes,
fledged.
that's why I'm thinking of SRE to
Yeah, yeah, it's a
get
full
started
fledged.
from
So
next
there's
month.
no price difference. That's how it's gonna be. It's trust me, it's gonna be very put with the course content that we are offering.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are covering. It's an immense value addition. Okay, so
Okay.
just
So
don't think that.
another thing, Roshan, to start with the programming, which one would you recommend for this particular course? Like the Java or Python? You're providing both,
I
but
would
to
say,
start with
I
something.
would say, okay, yeah. If I would say, first get comfortable with Linux
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the scripting part, right? The 11th
scripting
one.
part.
Shell
See,
scripting and yeah.
Python programming we don't need to know. Okay, programming we should have the automation mindset. See, I don't want. We are not here to be a developer to fit in as a developer. We are here to automate something. So Python, we should know Python to that extent, which can help you to script only. That's the
Okay.
intention. So Python
So
scripting
what?
is what I would highly recommend for the automation mindset. Automation.
Okay.
But
So is this
Java,
the Python
go ahead.
scripting and shell scripting or recorded one or the live sessions?
So cell scripting is the recorded one that we are sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. Python
Okay.
scripting, it's gonna be very much similar, like half of this course if you attend. I'm planning something dedicated on right now, but Python scripting is part of this. okay, recorded sessions.
Okay.
But I am also
Okay.
planning right now something to come up with the Python scripting separately. I'm planning on. So that's a
Okay.
secret I just revealed. I'm planning on something of my own, just to focus on the automation part. And
Okay.
I'll be guiding you on that part. But I'm planning on some recorded session here, my own. But right now, you can rely on this programming. That's good enough.
Okay.
But it's work in progress. Okay, I would like to be honest. Right now, it's not. You will not find this.
And Roshan again, Naveen here. The SRE course is basically designed on based on the Google ebook, or how is it? Because I just see here as an SRE. So what exactly you will be covering? If you can just go in detail, or is
Can
there a
you
way
be
where I can?
louder, Kumar? Can you be louder,
Okay,
please?
okay. The SRE part that you have just mentioned here, is it the curriculum is based on the Google ebook that you have
Okay, no,
captured?
it's a
Mm-hmm,
based on the requirement. It's a based on the real
mm-hmm,
requirement, IT requirement, IT work. See, Google,
mm-hmm,
yes, the word has originated from Google. Google has the book as well. We'll be talking about Google book references as well when we talk about SRE. Okay, we'll do that. But they don't talk about Google book, doesn't talk about everything that we have in the
yeah,
course,
indeed. Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So we have planned this course for the real world, to face the real world challenges, to face the real world. So it's not based on the book and all, but yes, we do have references. When we talk about SRE, we do refer the book and we talk about how things are done in the book. And I also recommend to refer the books. Books. I would recommend you that time.
Yeah.
One of
So
those
I hope
things.
the Kibana or the Grafana things and all are covered under this part for the
Absolutely,
monitoring
we
and
have this
observability.
ELK.
Yeah.
That's ELK.
Oh,
Yes.
ELK. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Anything related to incident management or something like that? Like how do we do the postmortem? Because that is also one of the part of
See,
SRE
correct,
role.
correct.
Yeah.
See, so incident management, first of all, we should be aware what does it, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of other tools, right? You can do using, we have service now, we have pager duty, right? So we talk about those tools that anybody would work, but we talk about what is incident management, what you should do, right? So we do talk
Mm-hmm.
about the process in this SRE. What is that? So if I
Okay.
just
Okay.
show you, if I just show you what we talk on the SRE lines, okay, for those aspects, okay. So we do talk about a lot more things about the incident management and other aspects. What do we really mean by incident? First of all, people are not sure what do we mean
Mm-hmm.
by incident management, right? So we need to talk about that. So I do talk about the references in the books, and then we do talk about the concepts, and then with different tools that we have. People use ServiceNow,
To manage the
PagerDuty
incident. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
manage the incident. We talk about those things during this the entire discussion.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. And of course, the SLA and SLO part as well, if I'm not
Absolutely,
mistaken.
that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there. So if you go over the link, you would find all those things. If you go
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the link,
I just got this link this morning, so I haven't gone through yet fully. So
yeah,
probably
yeah.
just go
So if
through.
you go, you would find everything that you're looking for. SLO. So if you look at this, the entire thing here on the SRE part.
Ah, okay,
So,
okay, okay.
so let me share the link again for everybody benefit. Okay. I hope we all have
Yeah, Roshan,
understood the
both
course.
basically
Yeah.
both are same like in terms of as per my understanding like cloud
Yeah, yeah, both
performance
are
engineering and
same,
DevOps
Logan, of
and
course.
SRE.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Okay, so
Consider one
both are
link.
like in
Consider
weekend.
this SRE link. Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead. Yeah.
okay, fine, thanks.
Sure. I'm just
So both
sharing
are on weekend
earlier.
batches or else like is there any weekday batch?
Yeah, weekdays batch is quite hectic. Okay. You know,
Okay, okay, Yeah, I
Myself
agree.
being an SRE production calls, right? It never goes smooth. I end up working late hours, and sometimes the SRE role is like that. I cannot commit a time in on the weekdays and fulfill that.
Okay,
So
fine.
that's how it has been. So we're coming up with a weekend batch. Okay, weekend. That's how I can be available. Yeah. So we are coming up with a weekend batch. No weekdays batch plan as of now. Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Got it.
sure.
So
Okay,
we will be getting this recording session, right, Roshan? I sincerely
absolutely,
apologize. I missed it
absolutely.
because I did not know about yourself. Where do you work and how many years of experience that you carry with
Okay,
SRE?
so I
So
have
just want.
okay, I have 16 years of experience. I work with one of the biggest retail giant company that you can think of. Okay, I would not name the company. You would find if you interested, you can find me somewhere over the internet. But yeah, that's how. And I have been working as a principal SRE from last 8 years. uh, Started my career as a Java developer, and then I've been into automation, now into various tools like Terraform, Ansible, completely into microservices world now. I'm a
Mhm.
multi-cloud solution architect certified, uh, AWS, Azure, and GCP, Kubernetes certified, CKA certified, Terraform certified, and yeah, that's about my credentials and work experience.
Thanks, Roshan.
Okay. Okay, I think we're all good. Anybody has any more questions?
No, Roshan, we are good. Thank you.
Okay, perfect, guys. So we'll catch up next weekend, 7:30 p.m. IST, guys, Saturday. That's the plan. Bookmark your calendar. So we'll meet 7:30 next weekend, 7:30 to 8:30. Okay, so 2 hours. We'll talk about that next weekend. Thank you, guys. We'll meet next weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir,
Thank
for
you.
your effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.